Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
People believe that humans can only use 10% of their brains, but that's actually false, because the people who went to my school either use none of their brain cell or use 100% of their brains like they're Lucy, and two of these individuals used to give me more headaches than Akira. But by far the worst people you will encounter in school are the nerds, and to be honest, I am in no position to call somebody a nerd. It's not like I was the coolest person in my high school like Troy Bolton, and to be honest, I used to indulge in some of these activities, but some of these individuals used to take this way too far and used to be more annoying than Sheldon Cooper. So today we will be talking about the different types of nerds in school. If you like this video, please make sure you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. Also, join the Discord server if you want to be more active in the community. You know what I'm saying? Jorwizzy Clann, we're gonna go crazy in the future. Alright, that's enough of the yap. Let's get into the video. The first thing we have to talk about is the gaming nerds. We all know that one kid who used to think about games more than EDP thinks about minors. Yo, these people would bring some sort of device to play games, but when it comes to the gaming nerds, there was always a hierarchy. At level 1, we have the people who play games on their phones. Most of these individuals used to have more games on their phone than iShowSpeed in 2022. They usually had an Android phone because they were using Chrome to download the majority of their games, but they would download some of the worst games known to mankind. I remember there was this one kid in my class, and he used to play the game that you would see as a pop-up advertisement. Yo, he played this game every day, and he had a higher score than the population of India. We also have the people who play Brawl Stars and Clash Royale. They would usually play whenever they're bored in class or at lunchtime, but some of these individuals used to be richer than Bill Gates because they used to be pay to win. They would spend their entire allowance buying the pass for these games, but I just want to give a special thank you to the people who are paid to win on Clash Royale. You made me stay on this beautiful game and made me drop 100 trophies. These individuals used to be the most toxic people to ever walk this planet. They would constantly drop Mega Knight and Big Man P.E.K.K.A. These people do not play this game because it's fun. They treat this game like it's the World Cup final, and when they lost a game, they would start crashing out like flight reacts. By the way, if you're still playing Among Us in 2025, then you need to let it go. It's been 5 years, but overall, I will give these people a 6 out of 10. At level 2, we have the people who play games on the school Chromebook. The gamers that I like the most. They used to jailbreak games on the school Chromebook, and I'm not even talking about Steam or Xbox cloud gaming to play Fortnite, but downloading games that require the best graphic cards to run. I don't know what type of rocket science these individuals use to bypass the school mainframe and download all these games. I remember there was this one kid in my school who downloaded Cyberpunk Edge Runner on the school Chromebook, and somehow the gameplay felt like he was using an AMD Ryzen 9 9950 X3D with a RTX 5090 GPU. But these people used to treat their Chromebooks like a Louis Vuitton handbag because they used to hold it tighter than a newborn baby. But around level 2, these individuals started to become a problem. They would usually skip classes to play games, and if you see someone who brings a controller and has a gaming headset, please do not make this guy angry because he will not hesitate to crash out. So I will give these people an 8 out of 10. At level 3, we need to talk about the people who used to bring a Nintendo Switch to school. Honestly, these individuals are far too gone. Anything that doesn't revolve around playing games, they would erase from their brain like SpongeBob. So in most cases, these people used to never have a social life in school, and they used to be more alone than Shinji. But they listened to what Toy Story said, "You got a friend in me," because the Nintendo Switch and him were even closer closer friends than gun and killer. But anyways, most of these individuals used to give up on school, meaning they had a lower GPA than the average rating of the Velma TV show. And we all know how these individuals used to look. They used to wear Nintendo t-shirts, Galaxy hoodie, and these Nike running shoes. They used to have a mini afro, a buzz cut, or a mullet. Most of these people used to have the average player build of Fat Albert, or look like they experienced 5 months of famine. But for some reason, they always had a girlfriend. But most of the time, their girlfriends used to look like Jabba the Hutt, and they had Medusa powers, because whenever I see these individuals in the hallways, it would make me turn into stone. The games they used to play are Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros, Minecraft, and Pokemon Sword. So I would give them a negative 152,000 out of 10. At the bottom of the pyramid, we have the hardcore gamers. Yo, these are the individuals who bring a PS Vita, a Nintendo DS, and a PSP. These people used to bring the old cartridges for the Nintendo DS and the PSP. They used to have games like Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai, GTA San Andreas, and an entire collection of Mario games and Sonic Classic Edition. Most of these individuals used to never come to school. Seeing these individuals come to school was even more difficult to find than getting a base set hollow Charizard. They used to go to school for a total of 2 times a year, and whenever they came, they would disappear like Perry the Platypus. And whenever these individuals were in my class, they used to act worse than Nick Avocado when you touch his food. When I was in class, there was this one time that someone was sitting down in this guy's seat, and this guy started crying more than Izuku Midoriya. So he told the teacher, and she said, just sit somewhere else for today, and tomorrow you can have back your original spot. Yo, this guy responded by saying, "Weh, I'm telling my mommy that you stole my seat." Yo, this guy treated this seat like it's in the World Series, Blue Jays versus Dodgers. By the way, this guy had a longer beard than James Harden, and he's acting like this. So overall, I will give these people who bring an old gaming device to school a negative 5,256,289 out of 10. The next thing I have to talk about is the nerds who used to be full of themselves. These people used to always act like they know everything, like Lisa Simpson. They would interrupt your conversation by saying, actually, that's not factually correct. Yo, they used to do this over every single conversation, even if they don't understand what you're talking about. I remember there was this one time when me and my friends were talking about who was the best football player of all time. By the way, it's Lionel Andreas Messi. But anyways, this guy never watched a single football game in his life, and he said, actually, the greatest footballer of all time is Pele because he won 3 World Cups. Dog, me and my friends stared at him because ain't no way this guy said that. I just want to say something. If you don't know about something, I would suggest you keep your mouth closed and just focus on your schoolwork. But speaking of schoolwork, these people used to be even worse when it came to this. They used to correct the teacher so much that the teacher got fed up and treated him like Meg Griffin. They would go band for band like Light Yagami and L, but in some cases, the know-it-all nerds were always correct. I remember I was in physics class, and there was this one kid who corrected the teacher every time. By the way, the nerd was from India. Anyways, we had this one old teacher who was teaching us about Newton's law of motion, and this nerd said, actually, that's not how you do this equation. So the teacher had to check on the internet to see if he was correct, and turns out the nerd was indeed correct. And to be fair, this kid was a walking encyclopedia and a calculator, so I can't even blame the teacher. And I used to hate when we got back our grades, because these individuals always cried about getting a 98 on a test. They would go to the teacher and yap about why they should get those 2 marks. Dog, you have a 98 while I have a 56. I remember there was this one time when the teacher was giving us back our tests, and this girl in my class got a 92, and she started bawling her eyes out like SpongeBob. She acted like it was the end of the world. Yo, she would start having more panic attacks than Tony Soprano. The reason why she acted like this is because she wanted to go to a top university, and the average to be in that university was 98. Dog, at this point, apply for Harvard. Yo, me and my friends were trying to hold back our laughter like ice show speed, because it's just like what Kendrick Lamar said. Be humble. Hold on, sit down. Be humble. So overall, I will give these people a 4 out of 10. The best type of nerd, in my opinion, are the geek. these people are actually chill. They love watching TV shows, anime, and movies. But just like the gaming nerds, there are so many different types of geeks. At level 1, we have the sport geeks. Before all the people in the comment section tell me that people who watch sports aren't geeks, then you're obviously in denial, because the way some of you individuals talk about your favorite sports team and athletes needs to be investigated. Yeah, I'm talking about you, the LeBron Glazers. Anyways, these are the most common types of geeks. They watch every single game religiously, and these people kept track of all the stats and proceed to have a heated discussion at lunchtime like it's a presidential debate. Yo, these people will go down on their knees like they're ash cash for their favorite athlete. Yo, Ronaldo could have a bad game where he literally had 2 touches of the ball, got a red card, and missed an open goal, but they would blame it on the referee. Most of these individuals used to come to school wearing a jersey like they're actually a part of the team, and there's nothing wrong with wearing a sport jersey to school, but these individuals would wear the full kit. And the one thing that I always find cringy was the people who used to tell their favorite athlete happy birthday and post them on their Instagram story, but when it's your birthday, these people don't even like your story. Yo, they choose to remain silent like Pink Panther, so I would give them an 8 out of 10. At level 2, we have the band geeks. If I'm being honest, I used to respect the fact that they never fake their personality. In high school, most people used to pretend to be a different person like Obito Uchiha, but the band geeks used to be themselves. And you know, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Band geeks were usually in the school team. They used to spend hours practicing, marching, acting, and rehearsing dialogue. But some of these individuals used to be the corniest people I've ever seen in my life. They used to do a thing called staying in character, and they would start doing corny dialogue in class. I remember 2 people in my class had a scene where they played Romeo and Juliet, so they decided to stay in character and say it out loud in the class. And at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something, that's good. But it gets to a point when these people used to make my eardrums vibrate like a 808. But aside from that, they're okay. So I will give them a 6 out of 10. At level 3, we have the superhero geeks. The superhero geeks are the most well-known type of nerds out there. They have been around since England last won the World Cup. Most of these people were either Team Marvel or DC, and this would separate them like East Germany and West Germany. They would literally have heated debates about which one was better, and being in this conversation used to be more chaotic than being in O Block at 3 AM. They would say, yo, Superman could solve the entire DC verse with his pinky finger. By the way, these people used to always use specific words like solo, multiversal, continental, and universal. They used to just like they were in the Big Bang Theory, but to be fair, they're not that bad. So I would give them an 8 out of 10. At level 4, we have the anime manga geeks. As someone who loves watching anime and reading manga, I can't lie. Some of these individuals in the community were like their favorite main character, because they used to have some fatherless tendencies. Before we talk about the dark side of the anime manga community, let's talk about the good parts. The people who used to talk about anime and manga and occasionally wear an anime t-shirt or have an anime profile picture were some of the coolest people in school. If you're in high school and you want to make some new friends, then these are definitely the best choices. Alright, now that we've talked about the positive, we need to talk about the dark side of the anime community. These people ship every anime character. Dog, if these people invested more time chasing the money, they would be the first trillionaire. And we all know what type of anime they watch. It's My Hero Academia. Dog, why are you people so obsessed with seeing 2 little boys together? We also have the delusional girls who ship themselves with male anime character. Dog, these girls used to be obsessed with a fictional character. Yo, they had anime posters of Gojo, Satori, and pillows that they would do freaky activities with. We all know the people who Naruto run in the school hallways. When I see them do this, I want to leave the anime manga community like Sasuke leaving the Hidden Leaf Village. We also need to talk about the debaters. These people argued every day about who would win in a fight, Goku or Saitama. Yo, this would escalate to the point where these people would start fighting. So overall, these people used to be some of the worst people I've ever laid my eyes upon. I would have to give them a 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, we have to talk about the tryhard nerd. These people are the textbook definition of a nerd. They used to sit at the front of the class and raise their hands in the air more than the Statue of Liberty. They used to constantly remind the teacher about homework when the teacher forgot about it. But in my school, the tryhard nerds took this to another level and started reminding the teacher that we had a test. Most of these people in my class treated this tryhard nerd like Naruto Uzumaki. And to be fair, it was justified. But there was a chance to redeem himself, because there was this one time when our our main teacher was gone, and we had a substitute teacher who was older than a fossil. So he never even knew about ChatGPT. So everyone in class cheated. But do you know what this tryhard did that aggravated my spirit? He snitched on the entire class like Tekashi 69. The teacher checked our tests on those artificial intelligence checkers, and we all got a 0. But overall, these people deserve to get hit with a swanton bomb off a 20-foot ladder. So I will give them a 2 out of 10. The nerds I do not want to give attention to, but for the sake of this video, we actually have to do it. You know which nerd I'm talking about. It's the wannabe gangsters. These people will pretend they're a gangster, and the craziest thing is that this guy will be someone you've known since elementary school. Dog, we were just playing Fortnite and talking about anime. Now this guy is talking about robbing people and doing the race like TK. These people think that they were in OTF or 4K tray, and it's just like what they said. A good actor has to dress the part. So these people started dressing like a gangster. They started wearing designer brands like Spider hoodies, Babe hoodies, Essential hoodies, Nike ski mask, Balenciaga track LED shoes, Louis Vuitton belt, and Amiri jeans. But we all know that most of the outfits they wear used to be faker than Kim Kardashian's butt. Another thing that I find cringy is the people who used to sag their pants all the way down to the bikini bottom. But overall, these people are the cringiest people in the school. So I will give them a negative 1,452,708 out of 10. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video. Tell me what the best and what the worst type of nerds are in your opinion. I'll see y'all boys in the next video. I love y'all. I'm out.